This is Grandmaster Jerry Fast Feed Fontaness. Welcome to another episode of What's Going On? Hey, Coco. That's one of our sponsors, Coco and Little Bit.
She's staring at you like, Daddy, give me food.
Oh, sure.
She's crazy, right?
Guys, if you look up here in that photo, you see Little Bit and I, and it says the theater.
You gotta put that picture up.
Where's that theater? Because that's a goal.
I look crazy, I know.
You are crazy. I know.
Yeah, when you disappear.
Oh, and Violet. So guys, you gotta have goals. And this already happened in my mind. Now, I know it's gonna sound insane. However, even my relationship with Little Bit was something that I ordered. Meaning, I wrote it down as a specific, explicit goal. And I didn't think it was gonna be that fast or even that good, because it's bar none the best relationship I've ever been in. That's the way things work. I walk around in the tournament with my hands up in the posture of the champion, and then quite often people ask me, "Oh, did you win?" And then I say something that sounds insane, but it's a belief. Yeah, I did win. Let me find out how I did it. In other words, I begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. That's the only way, yeah, Crazy Rock. That's the only way that things work. Not by accident, specific. This is the way it works. You gotta know what you want. Have a plan. And a success coach. Take consistent action. Review your progress and renew your goals. Then I ask them, what's a goal? And the answer is, a goal is something you want to hit or get. So yes, this Saturday, the 20th of September, at the LPAC Center, or I should say LPAC, Latino Presbyterian Action Center, at 9 o'clock a.m., we start with the women and the underbelts. At 10 o'clock, we start with the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Then at noon, the 60-year-olds. And then at 2 o'clock, the 70 to 74, 75 to 79. And we have at least one person so far in the 80 to 84 division. And there's a possibility someone will be in the 91. Or I should say 90-91.
Hola, everyone. ¿Cómo están?
It's 1981, and before the year is done, everybody's gonna know that we on the road like Crazy Joe 107, no. And when 82 rolls around, ha ha, we'll still be getting down. That was the Cold Crush 4, 1981. She just triggered that off. Yeah, I saw the fight, most of it. I'm not a big fan of boxing any longer, I'm sorry. I still rather see 1980 fights, but same thing with martial arts. I still rather see 1980s martial arts too. Boxing and martial arts to me, 80s and 70s. From around 76, because for me, the only time I ever saw a boxer from like day one go to the ranks, and I was the biggest fan, was Sugar Ray Leonard, who won the gold medal in 1976. And I followed his entire career until it was ended by someone who I actually knew, rest in peace, Hector Camacho, which was like Leonard's biggest fan too. But Camacho was the only martial, I should say, boxer that allowed the karate people to kick at him. He used to train with Kendo Allah, today known as Abdul Aziz, who will be competing this weekend. So I don't want to make this too long, but what I can say is that the Unified Martial Arts Network has now, like I said, there's 8 women, and the 15 above, there's 9 so far, Kung Fu stylists, and there's well over 20 in the 60s division, and even in the 70s, you're looking at least 12. So it's getting really crazy. I'm getting phone calls non-stop all week. For those of you who want the t-shirts, make sure you order them before to guarantee you have it. Get them at the door. And let me know when you do order if you want the signature in the front or in the rear. I've had both of those requests. Again, we're only doing 100 shirts and we're numbering them. Now, the Unified Martial Arts Network, UMAN, meaning like you, man. In order for things to work, we need you. Yeah, you, man. Man means man and women, of course. Because it's not about me. Us one. Us one. We all are important, and we all were forgotten. And literally, there's so many people that we have that aren't around any longer. In the spirit of my mother who passed away last year, that's what this tournament is about. But that spirit spread to a whole bunch of other people. I have a gentleman that might drive down from Buffalo just to show support. And he's my big brother in martial arts. Love him to death. And that's Marty Kakavis, Dr. Speed. Dr. Speed has an interesting career because when I first met him, it was in the early 1980s in Brooklyn. And for some reason, I wasn't competing that day. I guess it was because at the time, I didn't have no money to compete, possibly. And I went to a tournament the night before, maybe. Tournaments were on Sunday. And I seen this white guy with a headband in New York. And normally, if you see someone like that, that would have been someone like, rest in peace, Larry Kelly. But this was in Ronald Baran's tournament in Brooklyn, Flatbush, I believe. And I laughed because I already knew this guy had some skills, and he beat everybody. It was so funny. He beat everybody. So we just had a conversation, him and I, today. Now Marty was a spoiler. What do I mean like that? About that. And I'm a spoiler too. This is what I mean. If you take Marty Kakavis and Fassi Fontanes, and I know I'm talking about myself in the third person, I'm saying from a spectator standpoint, these two guys beat a whole bunch of so-called team members of a variety of teams. And I'm not a big fan of teams. I think that was the number one demise of what became this nonsense that we see in some other events that I don't agree with. That's why I couldn't even be at the tournament this weekend or the last few weeks, even though I wanted to. I wanted to go to these tournaments. But in my heart, it's humiliating to me to see the demise of standards when it comes to weapons, where they're twirling, what the hell are they doing? Forms, where you have a green belt doing a black belt form and not even good, but he's trying to get just higher points. It's just like a cesspool to me of nonsense. And if people are happy with that, thank God. You won't see me at those tournaments. And if you do see me at those tournaments, I'm only there to get highlight reels. That's just the truth. Sad as it is. I will be competing in October in New Jersey. I'd rather have the local tournaments that at least allow me to compete with no headgear. Yes, no headgear. What does that mean? At the UMAN tournament, the headgear is optional, not mandatory. Only 4 pieces of equipment are mandatory. One is the mouthpiece, and that's question mark, if you have teeth. I don't have teeth. Second one is gloves. Foam dip preferable. Third is the groin cup, if you're a male. And then you have the boots. Now, yes, you can fight with a headgear that has a shield, a rib protector, shin guards, elbow pads, and we might laugh at you. But if that's the way you want to fight, that's on you, no problem. And I'm just being as honest as possible. We have not seen what we consider tournament martial arts with such a variety of styles at an event in many, many years. Even at the national tournaments, going back to the 80s and 90s, you might have had 2 or 3 Kung Fu stylists, which is crazy when we have 9 now. Now, is everybody registered? Absolutely not. I'm assuming that about 2/3 of the people have been registered already. And if it's more, that's fine. But again, you know the schedule. 9 o'clock, underbelts and women. 10 o'clock for the 30, 40, 50-year-olds. 6 o'clock, I should say 12 o'clock, noon for the 60s plus. And then finally 70 and up at 2 o'clock. Now, women, you have a situation that's a little interesting. What does that mean? Well, we're bending over backwards for you. Even though you're not the majority, we do consider you guys extremely important. That being the case, you can compete in 2 different divisions. What do I mean by that? You don't have to compete in the women's division and formed. You can compete in the Japanese, the Chinese, Open, American, and even Korean division, but it'll be against men. If you only want to compete against women in forms, doesn't matter what styles, an open ring, then you compete in the women. And of course, sparring is only women, and the majority are in sparring. The point is that, based on demands, I'm gonna be adding things, but realistically, we were able to get some sponsors for some women, and that's the reason. People say, how you get so many women? I say, well, we got some sponsors, and women were ready to go, and we sponsored some older girls who wanted to come out and play, and I'm so excited about that because it's gonna be beautiful. And anyhow, I'm not sure if there's anything else that I want to say except for that I'm excited. We're 5 days away, and I'm out of here. Baby, see ya.